Hi everybody, welcome back to Sunny Shale Gardens, and we are having a fall spring and I am all here for it. The weather is beautiful. It's about 80 degrees out right now, and I'm going to take this opportunity before it gets cold and rainy again to work on some garden pruning. I think I want to work on limbing up some trees, which is one of my most favorite things to do ever. So let's go ahead and get started. I am at my crepe myrtle tree right now, and what I'm going to do is give it a quick little inspection, and all I'm looking for is anything dead, diseased, damaged, or crossing branches. Those are the things that I'm going to eliminate. So I just want to keep this really, really simple. So let me flip you around, show you this tree, and I do see a lot of crossing branches and stuff, but I don't think pruning it is going to take too long. Here is a crepe myrtle, and this is an excellent example. You can see right here how this branch has been rubbing on the other branch, and it's causing a little bit of a wound, and that wound can allow pests and diseases to get into your tree. So that's why you want to eliminate any crossing branches. I do see some dead branches as well that I'm going to remove. So I'm just gonna zip through this real quickly, clean it up as best I can, and then move on to the next tree, which will be my flowering plum. I'm gonna use just a pair of Fiskar pruners for this job and go at it. And I do see where a deer was rubbing up against this tree, and I'll show you that in a couple minutes. All right, I've made a decision about this particular branch. I'm not going to trim any more off of this branch because I'm actually going to cut this whole branch off because it's banging into the tree, and really I don't think it's necessary. It'll allow the rest of the branches to flush out. So just imagine this removed. We'll do that later. Let's go over a couple of pruning basics. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you are trimming the tree when it is dormant. That means that it has not broken any leaves and it is completely asleep. I really like how this structure looks with the bark and the limbs showing. So what I'm choosing to do is limb up the canopy so the leaves are up here and I can see this beautiful bark structure down below. Here is an excellent example of a dead branch. You can see it's looking pretty yucky. So what I'm gonna do is when you wanna cut a branch, you're gonna cut right above the V. Let me get in closer for you. You're going to cut right there above this little collar because it will self-heal itself. It'll be considered a wound, but it's going to self-heal itself, and it's not going to cause any issues to the tree in the future by cutting right here. I had to put the camera down to get it, but you can see right here there's the little collar, and I cut right on the other side of that collar. So that's a nice clean cut. Here's another thing I want to show you. Look at that. Look at that. That is a deer rubbing onto the tree. And down here, you can see a slice. That's where a deer also rubbed this tree. Don't be afraid to go in and trim things back. I know a lot of people get very nervous and worry, but really, if you make a wrong cut, It's okay, it'll grow back, it's a tree. What I'm also going to do, and what I recommend you do, is go through and cut all of the limbs that are facing in towards the tree. You can see this limb right here is going in. And the reason that you want to, whew, I almost fell. The reason that you want to cut these interior limbs is because imagine this limb growing way, 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 way up. It's going to cause rubbing against other limbs. So if we get rid of it now when it's small, it's much easier than getting rid of it at a later time. Just by that little bit of limbing that I already did, the tree looks better. I don't see any disease or anything on the tree other than a couple of dead limbs, and that was probably from the buck that rubbed up against it. I am going to run up and get my little buzzy sawly thinger so I can take these big limbs off. I am not going to go up and get the buzzy thinger to prune that crepe myrtle. I'm going to use my big hand pruners because I'm lazy and I don't feel like going all the way up to the house. Okay, I got him. What branches? I was going to pull this one. And looking at it, I think I should prune this one back. Okie dokie. I did it. And that really hurt, but I did it anyway. Okay. Oh, that's nice. See, you can really see that bark structure. Even when it leaves out, that is perfect. Alrighty, crepe myrtle done. On to the next. This tree was actually up at the very front of our property right by the driveway, and it did not do well. So we took a big gardening risk because this was a pretty established tree and we transplanted it. And it has transplanted and taken well. I can see that there are new buds on this tree. I don't know if you can see all those little raised dots. Those are all buds. This is a very congested tree. You can see all the congestion. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna focus on this bottom section and I'm gonna get all these little twigs out so I can get a really good look at this tree and assess what other cuts I need to make. I can already see a better view of how this tree is now that I just pulled all of that messy stuff out from in between the middle of the tree. Remember, don't be intimidated. Just have fun. Go out, look at your tree, start slow, and then the more confident you get, the more you're gonna wanna limb stuff up. And this tree is not in the best shape. Not in the best shape at all. From this side, I can see a lot of damage. I wonder if that's a buck rub. I don't know. Like I said, this tree has struggled from day one for me, but I just can't let it go. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's all. Okay. Standing here, you can see how there's the bark is like split. I don't know if you could see that. And even though it's growing, it's decision time. Do I want a tree that just is not happy, even though it's growing, in my garden? And I am at this point undecided. So what I'm gonna do is move on from this tree. I've got plenty of other trees to prune. Let's look at the flowering cherry next. Maybe we'll have better luck with this one. This is my Kwanzaa cherry tree that I got a few years ago on deep discount at the local garden center. So you can see it is quite sparse, and that's okay. I have not touched this tree yet, but I think I do have a little bit of crossing branches. So I'm just going to do a really, really, really light prune on this because I want it to grow as much as possible through photosynthesis through the leaves. So I'm only going to do minimal cuts. She'll get a good fertilize later on this month, and hopefully she'll really start flushing out. All right, over to the magnolia tree. I don't think I really need to do anything on this tree, but you can see here's a really good example of where I limbed this tree up a couple years ago. You can see all of the little marks along the trunk and how some of them were facing inwards, and I removed them just to make this a more airy, open tree. And this magnolia has thrived because of it, especially in this humid area that we live in. You know, airflow, kind of important. All right, I do see one branch that I'm going to get because it's crossing. You see this? There. Okay. So I'm going to do to this tree. Okay. Crabapple. This is another tree that I got on deep discount. Again, I haven't touched it since I planted it because I want it to really photosynthesize as much as possible. But I do see a couple of branches that are shooting straight up that definitely need to be trimmed off. Okay, this branch shooting straight up, and I see damage from it rubbing. Ah, there we go. Eventually I will limb this tree up, but for now, again, because I want it to grow and really fill in, I'm gonna leave all this for a couple more years, and then I'm probably gonna be limbing it up to about here, but not yet. Straight up. Another tip is it is much easier to prune a tree when it's younger than when it's super established and older. So if you do buy a smaller tree, it's going to be more cost effective, but you're also going to have the ability to shape the tree how you want it to grow in the place that you plant it. Because sometimes trees are up against walls or fences and you kind of want them to flush out this way, or you want them to canopy up over and branch out over the fence. So it just gives you a little bit more flexibility when you're buying a smaller tree to really make it your own. And just like that, in the matter of about 45 minutes, I got a couple of trees pruned up and ready to go for spring. I believe I said this, I am going to be fertilizing them a little bit later on in the month because we are supposed to dip down into the 20s. And a lot of my trees are flowering trees, spring flowering trees. So I don't want to have them bud out and then the frost get them and ruin the beautiful blooms. I hope you learned a little bit of something in this video. Please let me know down below if you have any other questions, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, I will see you next time. Bye.